Guys, Adam here from the Chins Academy. We're going to do a quick video on how to set up and properly install on the rear window on this Honda Civic. So the first thing I'm going to do is my outside prep. So my outside prep, spray the back window. Then we're going to take a scrub pad and scrub the entire back window off. Once I scrub it, I'm going to spray it down one more time and we're squeegee out that back window. Now, once I do my outside prep, we're going to do what's called a dry shrink. We want to keep a light soap film between the glass and the film so we can manipulate and move those fingers around. So to do that, I'm going to do a light mist across my window. We'll take a bounce sheet. We can also use any dry soap, bar soap. I'm going to soak down this and I'm going to wet it all across the window. We want even distribution of the soap all across this window here. Now, this has to be perfectly dry. When I'm doing when I'm waiting for it to dry, we're going to do our inside prep, getting the inside ready while this is drying on the outside. Once it's dry, we can lay down our film and begin to shrink our film. Okay, so now we're waiting for the outside to dry. We do our inside prep. So we have these heat lines here that are very, very sensitive and break easily. So I use my white scrub pad. I'm going to spray out my entire window and I'm going to scrub out the entire window. Now, for those pieces I can't get with my normal scrub pad, I'm going to take my bulldozer, put my scrub pad up against it, and get behind all those pieces. Once I scrub everything out, I'm going to take my bulldozer, and we're just going to squeegee everything down through the window. Now, I'm doing this 2 to 3 times. I'll spray it, squeegee it, spray it again. Once I've done that about 2 to 3 times, I'm going to wipe down the entire back dash and we're ready to go for our inside prep. So by this time, this should be dry so I can do my outside film. Now we did our outside prep. Everything is dry here. If it takes a little bit longer to dry, you can use a heat gun and dry it out. We did our inside prep. Now we're going to lay our film. So I use a 36-inch roll of film. I want full coverage of this on the glass. So roll out our film so we have enough here. And now I'm going to do what's called a rough cut. So once I lay out my film, I'm going to line everything up on the glass. I'm going to do a rough cut. Do a small anchor in the center. And anything that's not on the glass, I'm going to get rid of it. Now we have everything on the glass. We're going to set it up. So I'm going to pull my hand in the center, pulling that film across and drawing a line. Pull this center up here, pull it across and drawing a line. Now we want to build out our 4 quadrants. So we have that line across the center. Take my hard card and reinforce that line. Then come down the center this way and across this way. So in this pattern, we're going to build the letter H. Come down here and build our letter H. So we did a line through the center and a line on the side. Once I make that, I'm going to do one more line down the center of the actual piece of film. So down the center, up the center. This is going to be making us 4 quadrants. So now I'm going to focus on these 4 quadrants across here. Remember, we do a factory edge of factory. So we'll keep everything going vertical down. Now, my only focus is shrinking this quadrant here. Once I've done this quadrant, we'll move up to this quadrant across the top. So now once I'm done this quadrant, we can move on to our next quadrant. This is completely shrunk, so I'm good to move on to this one up here. This side and this side's done, and we'll move on to my other side. Now we're done shrinking. We're going to go into our final cut. When we do our final cut, I'm going to go a 1/4 inch past that dot matrix. So once I made my final cut, we're doing what's one called as a wet shrink. So I'm going to lift my film, spray underneath. The purpose of doing this wet shrink is that we get rid of any kind of fingers. A lot of guys will skip this step, but we find it very important during our courses so we can minimize any fingers coming through the actual film. So once I wet underneath it, I'm going to spread my film back out. With my hand, get rid of all these big water pockets. And with my hard cards, reinforce and redraw my H and push all that excess water out from the film. And then come across here. So we still have those fingers. If I were to go in and install that right now, we'd probably get a couple fingers coming through that film. Come across here and push all the rest of that water out so we can just really attack those fingers off. So I'm just going to run my heat gun over top. And we're just going to get rid of any kind of excess finger across. Now, if you do have an issue getting fingers when you're installing your rear window, we suggest you can do this 1 or 2 more times more, just to make sure you don't get any of those fingers popping up. And so now we shrunk this, we're ready to install. Before we install this film, we're doing one more clean, spray, squeegee spray. So now we have the film on the glass. Before I take a squeegee to it, I'm going to spray down the glass. With my hand, I want to get out any big pockets. If I take a squeegee to this, we could cause crease or damage to the film. So once I get all these big pockets out, I'm going to take my bulldozer and I follow my same H pattern. So come across the center and then down to the side. Now I'm going to follow the same way that I shrunk this piece of film. Here and then down to the side. And then we're going to come straight up this way. Now we're doing this very, very lightly. Once I do my hard squeegee, we're going to hard squeegee it here. So I'm going to spray down my film one more time and do a hard squeegee. So with my hard squeegee, we're actually going to follow the heat lines. If I go over top of them like a speed bump, we can move air, which can cause a little bit of peanuts. So when I do my hard squeegee, I'm going to follow this exact line, pushing all that excess slip solution out. Now, once I do all my hard squeegeeing across, we're going to check it, make sure we don't have any dirt or hair. At that time, you let it dry. If it's the colder months, I'm actually turn on the car, put on the rear defroster. Then I'm going to go to my driver window. Once I do all the rest of my car, I'm going to come back and do my checks, push out any extra water, creases, or chisel any dirt or specks they may see in that window film.